Get on in there. Come on in the room. Jesus is my doctor, and he writes out all my prescriptions.
That's it, shucking and jiving. Is it supposed to?
Where? Oh my Lord! No, it's supposed to be TNT. That's why.
It just came with my my
Oh
notification.
Lord! Well, people right there. Let's see. Can we share it to them? For TNT. Oh, you know what? Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. Bing bong bing.
Bing bang.
Easy work. Easy work. Need to take it and change it to. I was like, it knew it was too good to be true. All right, here we go. Watch this though. I'm going to go live right here. The earth of Feminism. You know what's interesting?
What's that, sir?
All my YouTube subscribers, they're gonna be like, "What is this?" Wow. That made the kids next. Let me see if I can. Need it like that. Oh yeah, how y'all doing?
What's up, everybody?
Good
Everybody,
people.
everybody.
Good
Clap
people,
your
good
hands.
people. Good people, good people. Yeah. People, good people.
We're just getting set up for those of y'all who understand what's going on.
Yes, sir.
Yep. I'm sure our boomers are like, what in the world?
We did it good though, but
It's all
I was on
gravy,
my
baby.
personal jump. My bad.
It's all gravy, baby.
It is indeed.
Thank you for tuning in.
Appreciate
Facebook family.
We're going live right now.
I see my wife with the explosions. Thank you to the YouTube family.
We are live on TNT now.
And what family is this?
TNT.
Oh, okay.
Shucking and jiving. And Facebook, right?
Facebook, Shucking and Jiving.
TNT. We got to give everybody, YouTube, Shucking and Jiving.
If you got 3 phones,
hey,
you can get
Davis,
all the angles.
All the angles. Man, maybe get on one up here too.
Oh, there it is. Watch live TNT.
There it is.
All right.
Watch
so
live.
The YouTube family is coming.
Yep. Give y'all a second to get in there. I apologize. I did the link on my Shucking and Jiving channel because that's what they expect us to do, shuck and jive. So, so yeah, we were doing that, but we're not trying to shuck and jive. We're trying to be serious. Got 2 people in there. Thank y'all. Would you like a drink? Maybe I'll get that as well.
Sure. I'll take a drink.
My son did a thing called Drink Arizona. He got a hashtag. They done responded back. We need to do that.
Okay, that's all we got to do. We've been talking about these yellow cans. When you're feeling down and low, go get you a can that's yellow. Hey. And they haven't tagged us yet. We've been plugging them since February of last year. It's all gravy, baby. That's my saying today. It's all gravy, baby. Gravy makes everything better if it's good gravy. Yep. So we got to get us a little hashtag. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. I am super excited because this is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. That's number one. God did his job. What's my job? My job is to rejoice and be glad. I hope that wherever you are watching us today, that you are glad that you are able to hear, to see, to smell, to taste, to do all those good things, because that's a reason to be glad. Because guess what? You won the wake up lottery. Everybody did not.
Woo. All good, sir.
And you might not have everything that you want, but you got some stuff that you need. And God has tremendously blessed us. You can give us a boom on that.
Not tremendously.
Boom. Tremendously blessed us. And I'm just excited. Just excited. So much stuff going on that I'm not really at liberty to talk about.
Right.
I'm going to just let him keep blessing.
Keep right on.
Keep blessing. And hopefully you have some testimonies too and all that good stuff. It's Tuesday, and Tuesdays are good days for us.
Day.
We do some good things on Tuesdays.
Man.
And yeah, I'm just, you know what I'm saying, making sure we won't have no dead space before I give my official welcome. My brother's over here with the keys. Right. Look at him. Look at him.
Gotta warm up a little bit. Okay. We'll get that incorporated into the TNT. What you say?
Yeah, man. We can get a house band like all the other talk shows in America.
I won't let go, Lord, till you bless my soul. I won't let go, Lord, till you bless my soul. I won't let go. Who's that?
I don't know.
Till you bless my soul. It's not adoration and praise. It's close. It's old, James.
Sound like it could be one
my
of them.
soul. Twinkie dog.
Go.
Anthony Lowe.
God bless you, sir. One of my former students. Elder Lowe.
All righty, dighty. Let's try to get started.
Let's get going.
We are in here. Man, the subject tonight is the birth of feminism. Y'all can thank him for that. All the smoke. We need some sound, some smoke effects to clean and something like that. Boom. All right. Oh, let's boom us in. You can do our formal intro. All right, here we go.
Welcome to our latest edition of TNT.
Boom.
I am Pastor Joe with the great, the one and only, the voice of choice, Mr. Michael LaMelle the first.
I'm a reflection of you, brother. I love you and I appreciate you. Listen, we had a comment from one of our boomers, our regular boomers, and she said, I like when it was intimate, close. We felt like we were a part of it. Hopefully this is that on tonight, that we feel a part of it and close and intimate with us. We got cameras all around. So, yes, be close with us. Dave, we got one blinking at me. Oh, I thought I was having a seizure.
No, I was blinking a little bit.
Is it? Yeah, I see that. Let me get my light right. People be saying to get their good side. I usually turn around back. Get nothing off my face. Yep. Yeah, a lot of my work. Better turn to the front. Yeah. All right, go ahead, brother.
Yeah, I appreciated that when you shared that with me. It showed me, first of all, that we have people that have been with us kind of from the beginning.
Yes.
And then
and I'm still here.
Definitely had some growth, some evolution.
Yes.
Kind of went from the one camera shot. Now we got 3 different mediums to which you can take in.
And we're trying new things.
Trying new things every day. And so we definitely appreciate those shout outs. Y'all keep sending them to us.
Yes.
We're always responding.
Yes.
We haven't got too high and mighty just yet to not listen to our loyal boomers.
Right.
And we appreciate you. I see my little brother. I see you, Tim, my little big brother. All right. Appreciate you being on. But as my dear brother said, tonight's topic is...
Remember our brother Chris? Oh, I can say his name, man. That's a beautiful sentiment right there.
Yep.
That he said that. Right.
Yep.
We love you, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Karen is in there booming, in there shucking and jiving. I guess we're in both.
Yeah, we're everywhere. So. We're on YouTube twice and Facebook.
Yep.
Yeah.
The birth of feminism.
The birth of feminism.
Man, you want? How do we intro that? I mean, it's
Well,
a lot.
well,
It's a lot to that. Wow.
Some of y'all know that we love to stay current with current events, current happenings. We're always founded in the Word. And one of America's most prominent preachers, if not the most prominent preacher in African American circles in the United States, Mr. Thomas Dexter Jakes, preached a message on Father's Day. And so some of y'all might think we're a little late, but it's right on time with what's going on in the world today. On Father's Day, and the message was entitled "Real Men Pour In." Real men pour in.
Man, and it was a Father's Day message.
Father's Day message to fathers. As a matter of fact, I took some notes on said message. Took some notes, but if you have been around and connected to church and things, he has garnered tremendous backlash from some of the things that he said, from
tremendous
a number of women, a number of
they almost tried to cancel him.
Yeah, he's too big to cancel, but they tried it though. Tried to silence him, tried to cancel him.
I'm gonna try to show it right here when we
that'll be sweet because we can get all
of them.
Yeah,
right. Okay.
As a matter of fact, I was hoping that we were going to have my former professor, Dr. Estrelda Alexander, here tonight, but she's in DC, and she actually made a post and was talking about her disdain for what the great Reverend said. I like to kind of mess with her a little bit, and so I went on her page and told her how much I agreed with Jake, and she called me up and read me a new one.
And she's one of your professors, correct?
Yeah, she's one of my professors, probably outside of my parents, my favorite teacher that I've ever had.
A theology professor?
Yep, a theology professor, one of probably the foremost Pentecostal scholar when it comes to feminism, political theology in the country today. Actually started her own school, William J. Seymour College, and I'm blessed. I guess I can call her my friend. Her husband is a huge fan of TNT.
Oh, I was gonna say, is she married? Awesome.
Yeah, her husband.
Boom, give it up for the husband.
He's probably gonna call me either tonight or tomorrow. Big fan. Shout out to Clement Alexander. But yeah, so she called me like last week and just decided that, you know what, you're an idiot just like Thomas Dexter. So I was good with it because I'm fine with being corrected by people that are smarter than me.
Need it.
And we do this to each other. She likes to poke me, I poke her. Sometimes we poke each other just being provocative. But I was very serious, even though I was messing with her a little bit, about how much I agreed with the message from Thomas Dexter Jakes. A lot of people didn't. A lot of feminists didn't. A lot of black women, a lot of people that are anti-church didn't. And he said a number of things that you might deem controversial or provocative. I just kind of thought that the entirety, the gist of it was profoundly accurate and true. And we decided to marry that with what we believe we see from the biblical record about what's happening in the world today. And we want y'all to talk to us in the chat kind of about your opinions about feminism, the feminist movement, how you feel about it. There are some people who look at it as one of the great offshoots of the civil rights movement. There are some people who look at it as a trick of the enemy to distort how we view families.
Feminism. What say you in the chat?
Yeah, we want to hear from y'all a little bit. But you want to do the scripture and then get into some excerpts. So this topic is hot button, but it's kind of old, like in terms of just women kind of in the church or whatever.
But feelings are new.
Very new.
Like
very
mercies.
They change.
Every morning.
They change.
And by lunch and by night.
Yep. Change like the weather.
Feel
Change like the weather.
no one knows where the wind listeth.
It goes where it listeth.
Just like feelings out of your bosom. Somebody laugh.
Oh yeah, that's Clement.
All right. Young man, we are in 1 Timothy, correct?
1 Timothy
2.
Chapter 2. This is Paul writing to
right.
his son, who is a pastor, and instructing him
Make it
on
live, Doc.
some of the things that he should execute as in his pastorage. Paul is soon to be going off the scene to go meet Jesus, and he is making sure that he is giving Timothy some significant instruction for church polity, and how things should be run. And so there's a pericope, if you will, that we're going to raise tonight.
Polity, not to be confused with piety,
right?
Which it has some of that in there. But
yep.
All right, here we go. 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 11 through 15. 11 says, "Let the woman learn in silence with all subjection." We might need to hire a reader for this, Doc.
We didn't write it. Okay. We just read it. We didn't write it.
You know, the messenger get killed sometimes.
Yeah, man. But guess what? It's virtual. You can't do that to us.
Let the woman learn in silence with all subjection. Verse 12. "But I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence." Some people are going to say this was a different time.
Of course.
Okay. Verse 13. "For Adam was first formed, then Eve." Verse 14. "And Adam was not deceived, but the woman, being deceived, was in the transgression." I was gonna say, why you make me read it? But I always read the scripture. But
you're the voice of choice, brother. I mean, you know, God gives everybody a talent. I don't have that.
Verse 15. "Notwithstanding, she shall be saved in childbearing, if they continue in faith and charity and holiness with sobriety." I told him earlier I was just gonna listen because you know how we get off of this, and we had to have TNT 2, 3, 7 more times.
Right, 7 more times. Well,
so I'm just gonna listen so I can see what to say. Somebody laughing again.
Yep.
I mean, is that an angry face? I don't know.
Tim said, "Oh, this is about to be good." Well, let's deal with it. Again, Paul is writing and basically telling Timothy how things should be, and that if he had his way, he would have women silent in the church. And again, let's address it very succinctly. If your rebuttal for this is that was old school, that was old teaching, you're going to have a bit of a problem because he references the very beginning of time as to the reason that is supporting his argument. The foundation of why he's saying this is not because of modern society, but it goes all the way back to the Garden of Eden. So if his foundation is that, and that hasn't changed, the principle behind it is based off a foundation of fact, not opinion, of what happened. In the context of Genesis, chapters 1, 2, and 3, what we understand from the scriptures in Genesis and what we understand from Paul is that original sin that happened, Eve was deceived, which suggests that women are susceptible to deception. Adam was not. Adam was intentional about what he did. And because Adam allowed Eve to influence him, sin then came into the world. Now that's Paul. The message from Thomas Dexter seems to essentially support that as well. That, as a matter of fact, you gonna play some of it?
I am. Let me say this. I had a ministry friend, a female woman that was born a woman, a she, her, that I know from childhood that was born a woman, that has a menstrual cycle and as a girl.
Right. Real woman.
A woman who's in ministry that told me something that was profound, I thought. And I think one day you have to come on and say this, because as a woman, you saying this is very interesting. But she said that women present and then process, and men process and then present. So what your tendency as a woman is to say, well, what's wrong with you? Lord, blah, 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 right? And he's like, I'm good. He's processing
first.
and you're presenting.
Right.
Get something wrong with it.
Right.
This was a woman saying this. I don't know if I can say her now. I was waiting, so I want her to present her own thing. But that was the sum of it.
Right.
I thought that was amazing. And I thought it's interesting to interject into what we're talking about.
It is. And who knows women more than another woman?
That's why I fixed it like that. She's a woman with 3 kids, a husband, a house. You know what I mean?
Yep. Been
married a long time, grown.
Yep.
So interesting. And she's in ministry.
Yep.
I think that's important as well.
Exactly.
Let's see what Thomas Dexter has to say.
Let's see what the great Jakes has to say.
If Adam had not allowed Eve to pour into him.
Oh, Lord, let's get back to the beginning.
Oh, you went. Oh, that was a good one.
If Adam had not allowed Eve to pour into him, sin would have never come into the world. Sin came into the world because Adam broke the order. We were not designed to receive from women. Your self-esteem is compromised when you have to ask your wife for lunch money. I'm not saying you got to be rich. I'm not saying you got to be famous. I'm saying that you have got to be the one who pours in, not the one who takes out. When Adam started eating out of his wife's hand, sin came in because the divine order was broken.
Let's stop. We don't want to get a little canceled again like the other time, but we're going to do it in chunks.
Yeah, I like that little.
Ain't that good?
That man, look, you always doing that. Right. So the words of the great, the guy that was saying "Woman thou art loose." Now don't y'all try to cancel him now, because nobody canceled him when he was saying "Woman thou art loose." And nobody trying to cancel him. He was saying, "Get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready."
Now nobody's ready.
And his premise is that sin came into the world when the man started eating out of his wife's hand, because women are not designed to pour in. They are designed to be poured into. Seems to be very similar to what the great Apostle Paul is saying. That really, be quiet, ladies, because it's not your job to talk in this context, because you're supposed to be receiving. And the problem is, and this is why we call this the birth of feminism. The problem is, as much as ladies are going to be irritated sometimes because you want to talk and have a voice, the problem in this particular context, if we're being fair, initially lies at the feet of the man. Because when Adam ate out of his wife's hand, now she tried to give it to him, but he never had to eat it. Woo! And if we are allowing women to essentially pour in, to talk, to dominate, then they're not the entire problem of this.
I agree.
We are the initial problem, and we're the people who, I would say, biblically birthed feminism.
So this ain't even no woman attack. That you get into the heart of the matter right here.
Yeah, that initially
it's like telling a woman to stay in her place. She can't hear the rest. She just stopped right there. I did a TV show like that. I was producing a show called Heart to Heart. Right. The first episode was women stay in your place. And the idea is that women's place is on the throne.
Boom.
The queen of it all.
Yes.
But you spend your time focusing on and mingling with the commoners. This is a problem. So when I say, hey, get in your place, I see you. You're out of place.
Out of place, out of pocket.
You can't hear it because of all the dissonance and chaos of other things that's created. So that's very interesting that you say that.
Right. Sister Jorinda says, I agree with TD on that part, which is why I'm not a feminist, contrary to popular belief.
Oh, Sister, I didn't even, I'm glad. No, I'm just teasing. I'm teasing. I didn't think he was a feminist.
There's another one that
Sean
says,
says, I agree with what Bishop Jake said. You have to be a mature and knowledgeable Christian to receive that. That's a woman saying that.
okay, all right. Joseph Williams, know that guy. Wasn't Paul addressing wives rather than all women, since in another passage he speaks of women covering their heads when praying and prophesying? I don't. I'm gonna
That's
come
an
back to you.
interesting point, Pastor, and we're going to play some more of it to get the rest of the context. That's a very interesting point. To say it wasn't Paul speaking to wives. So then, if she wants to become a wife, she needs to be already carrying herself as that. Like the scripture says, he that finds a wife when she's not married, this is the revelation that I've gotten from it. Please help me. He that finds a wife finds a good thing. It infers that he is then a husband. Neither one of them are married, but they're conducting themselves in the principles and ways of husbandry and marriage. What say you?
Right. He didn't find a girlfriend or fiance.
Didn't.
He finds a wife.
Which means she's already a virtuous, matriculating as a virtuous woman in the wifely precepts.
Yeah, it didn't say that he finds a potential wife.
That part.
So if that's kind of the context of the scriptures, then yes. But I would say, Superintendent, that in this particular scripture, it doesn't sound like he's specifically addressing only wives. It sounds like to me that he's addressing women, because that's what he says very, very specifically. And we're not going to turn this into
Right.
should women preach, even though that could be a part of this.
But that's not the point where we can even come back to that.
Yeah, we can get back to
but
it.
But that's another whole separate thing.
Right. That's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
And we can you can decide how you feel about that.
But yeah, women apostles and women bishops and
all that.
Yeah,
that's not tonight's.
That's not tonight's thing. Don't try to drive it that way either.
Nope, that is not.
Deborah was a judge. Some people got a problem with that. Biblically, she was a judge in charge and calling the shots.
Right there.
Being.
Right. Old Testament too.
So anyway, that. You got to be in the book that knows certain things.
That's right. You got to read it, man. You can't just listen to what somebody say. You got to read sometimes.
Read.
And
am I right about it?
Yeah, right. Gino.
We get tickled on pastors. Like we like it. It's entertaining to us. Like y'all like Idris Elba and whoever y'all like. We listen to back.
How could they be silent and prophesy? See, Pastor, we're telling you that this is not the discussion for tonight.
Yeah. And you need to come in here. You need to come in here.
We're not doing that.
Hiding behind the thing. I know where you live, Superintendent. He determined. I loved it.
But let me see if I can address that real quick, right? I believe that contextually they can prophesy if they're covering a man, says that they are allowed to. In this context, again, the context is the reason why the world is jacked up is because a man listened to a woman. Now, you can take that however you want to take it, but that's why sin entered into the world. Now, are we going to lay the blame at the feet of the man? Are you going to lay the blame at the feet of the woman? I would say both are culpable, but the problem and the challenge that we're having with sin entering into the world and everything that we're dealing with in terms of God's order, according to James, according to Paul, is when those who are in authority listen to those who are not. And the responsibility comes to the person, essentially, who is in authority, and it lies at your feet, which is why he's very specific and says, Adam had a responsibility to check Eve. He gave in to her. And this feeds into this notion of happy wife, happy life, that is essentially at the crux of the feminist movement, I would say. But there are some people who would strongly disagree with me and say that feminism was absolutely necessary because women were being marginalized and abused. And there needed to be something that came kind of as a polemic to all of the marginalization that was happening to women, basically since the beginning, all of the patriarchy, all of the toxic masculinity, that's the word we're using now, all of the toxic masculinity that had reduced women to subordinates when Paul also says, ladies, man was not created for woman, but woman for man. I didn't write it. He says it.
I got into a discussion at karaoke about that. Interesting, because we got into this topic of priority. Kelvin Dooley was there. I don't think he was in that conversation, but him and his wife were there. And the result was something I heard on Instagram. I haven't made this post. I got this reel like 4-5 months ago. And it's something to the effect of, if he makes you his priority, then he's not working and doing the things. It was something like Jake said, something like that too.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be home and you got to be away.
Right.
You got to be present
Right.
and apart, being protective and productive.
Right.
So his purpose should be the priority. And then you get the benefits of that. I don't know. I know some people will argue with that. I heard them talking about it and I thought it was a great conversation. But that's essentially what you're saying.
Well, if we are going to use
what Paul was saying.
Yeah, if we're going to use Paul, if we're going to use Jesus as our example, and we understand that Jesus did not have a wife, right? But we are very clearly told in the scriptures that marriage clues us into the mystery of what the marriage of Jesus to the bride of Christ, the body of Christ. If you think about it, Jesus was very focused on his purpose here, right? And that was really to save mankind and to essentially die for the sins of the world.
Yeah.
That purpose was accomplished in a number of different ways so that essentially the bride can enjoy the benefits of him functioning and operating in his purpose. If you think about it, he really wasn't doing a lot of, say, catering to the needs of the bride,
right,
that the bride was expressing. He's doing a greater. He has a greater understanding of purpose, and oftentimes, when we look at Jesus, his most contentious battles or whatever were with the people in the church, trying to get them to understand who he was and what his goal, what his purpose was, and the role of a man is to love his wife and essentially to love her in the same way that Christ loved the church. Well, the hardcore truth is that there comes a responsibility for you to be the head. Jesus could not depend on somebody else to die. He had to bear the responsibility, which means that if he bears that responsibility of the sacrifice, he also bears the responsibility of how this thing is going to be ordered. And in the context of a marriage, one of the things that my brother says, the problem of today as to why the home, the family is out of order is because women are being the head of household. And that is a point that the great Thomas Dexter actually makes in his sermon, Two Men.
Let's see.
This breaks all sociological orders of the culture we're living in now. Because we're raising up women to be men.
Oh, I done dropped the thing.
And you're climbing the corporate ladder, but we are losing our families.
It got hot.
Somebody like it.
I know you can buy your own car. I know you can buy your own house. But until you create a need that I can pour into, I have no place in your life. So stop coming home bragging to me about how much you don't need me and wonder why I shy away. Oh, y'all ain't gonna talk back to me this morning. The conversation has become, let's prove to the men how dispensable they are. And it is born out of pain because we hurt you and betrayed you and lied to you and cheated to you. And you became like you became out of pain. Oh, Lord. I told you they weren't going to like this, Jesus.
Yeah, that was the short version. That was a lot, brother.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The title of the message is "Real Men Pour In."
It's a
And
Father's Day
it's
message.
a Father's Day message. He's speaking to men. Obviously, there was a point when he began to talk to women, and he talked about the reality that we're raising our women to be men, and that femininity is not being celebrated. I thought I read that somewhere. We're not applauding women for their femininity, but we are essentially celebrating them for how loud, mean, nasty, aggressive they can be, when that really is not the order that it was supposed to be.
Correct.
And then he addressed the reality. If you were to check the statistics, and we have to be proud, particularly of African American women, the most educated people group in America by per capita is the African American woman. Shout out to my sisters. The largest group of entrepreneurs in America by people group per capita are our sisters. Shout out to our sisters. And by and large, they're earning more money, getting more degrees. But I think that Jake sees a bit of a problem because women are being pushed to do these things and applauded and celebrated for them, but at the expense of the family, and in so doing, trying to get these things in order to essentially to replace that thing that's missing, the man presence, the male presence in their lives. And then when they get them all, it sounds like to me that he finds out that there is still an emptiness, because no matter how good your job is, it cannot replace a man. No matter how nice your car is, it cannot replace a man. No matter how much money you make, it cannot replace a man. And as a result, everything is weird now. Everything is very weird, topsy-turvy in terms of
very weird.
Yes, you gotta show it. You gotta show it. Right?
Okay. Very weird.
Very weird.
This is your woman of the year.
Yeah, that's the woman of the year.
Yeah, Caitlyn Jenner. Let me make sure everybody can see. That's your woman of the year. And we have toxic masculinity. 2015. I ain't see Nail March about that.
None.
Sports Illustrated. Woman of the year. Sorry. Cover of the year. Swimsuit model of the year. Born a man. Yeah. Born a man. There was some job. They get like $1 million when they get that cover. Some woman didn't get that work though.
Didn't get it.
Yeah. So this is the title, The Birth of Feminism. And I text Joe and said, this is the death of it.
This is the death. It's dead.
But y'all said slay, right?
Right. All day.
This is Billy Porter in one of his many dresses. Let me put it back here and see, can I scroll through? Bing. Uh-oh. Let me see. This way. Yeah.
That's Billy Porter.
Billy Porter.
Billy Porter, born a man.
Show you.
Very popular in pop culture today, on a lot of TV shows and movies.
Yeah.
On the red carpet at every event.
Every event. These are his different styles of dress. When they saying slay, oh, you did that. Work. He's married to a white man.
Yep.
And guess what role Billy plays in the marriage?
Yep.
Billy Porter.
Google it.
He's a famous actor. He did 3 Tenors. He did 5 Guys Named Mo. He did a lot of movies now.
Yep.
He's playing the fairy godmother in a film.
Yep.
Is it Cinderella or one of them films that's coming up?
It's Cinderella.
Cinderella, where they got her playing it.
Yep.
And he's playing the fairy godmother.
Which, again, I have said it a million times, and I'm hoping that I can get some strong women to support that. To me, the images that we show are directly offensive to me. To me, they should be extremely offensive to a woman. They're calling you guys cis gendered women today, cis women or whatever. I just think that as a woman, that's disrespectful at the highest level. And I don't know, Mike. I kind of feel like I don't hear it. I don't. It's not people. The people that I love and respect. We're not loud enough to me about this,
Right.
and I think that we should be a little bit louder about the reality that this is not cool.
Well, the focus is off because we had a title that says the birth of feminism. So everybody put their rollers in their head and took their earrings off and put Vaseline on to see what we talking about. Put their jeans and Timbs on so they can fight in here instead of, we want to march. I said this to Pastor earlier. We want to march and be irate for Brittany Granier, or whatever her name is, over in Russia when Pookie and Man had a gram of weed, it had a blunt, and got 25 years.
Yep.
But ain't nobody said nothing.
Yep.
And that's not demeaning hers or making hers less than, but we out of pocket.
Yep.
So it's to the matter of focus, like what you were saying. You don't hear people being loud. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Focus is wrong.
Absolutely. Jorinda Williams made a very good comment about.
Hey, Jorinda. And I'm telling your brother right now, I'm your brother too, you already know, that she is not a feminist.
She's not a feminist.
She said you think so. I think.
Right. Well, I mean, I probably would say I'm a feminist, okay? In the realest sense of the word.
And can we say lesbian on here? Joe said lesbian.
So
he loves his wife. Listen, we got to talk about what you made that post, not in this today, but that post you made earlier. Sure. We got to talk about that.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
It was Christian sex.
Yeah,
that's a hot button. Y'all talk about some terrible. TNT is booming. That's why it's a boom. That's why it's an explosion. Boom. Y'all talk about everything. Woo.
I mean, it's in the word. I mean, what we gonna do? Anyway, we're gonna get to that later.
Too young.
So when Thomas Dexter, Bishop Thomas Dexter Jakes was talking about climbing the corporate ladder, being very educated, and again, we're celebrating our particularly African American women who are killing it in those areas. I believe that Sister Jorinda's statement was, isn't that kind of what a Proverbs 31 woman is, though? She was industrious, talented, and hardworking. And I think that whenever you have a Women's Day service and they go to Proverbs 31, a lot of times we do miss the point that while she's virtuous, she has a job, or she's industrious, she has money. She's the one who puts her hands to the work, finds the field, goes out and buys it, while her husband is at the gate handling his business. If you would really look at that kind of motif, she's supporting the family to kind of free him up to walk in his purpose and his call.
Nobody trying to hear that, though.
Right. And I think that's the problem, Sister Jorinda, in that it's nothing wrong with the woman getting out here buying the field and raising the kids and all that. What's happening, though, is the women today, it seems like, and I think this is what Bishop Jakes is saying, is they're buying the field, going to college, having the degree, you know what I'm saying, whatever, but they're not doing it in the context of doing so to connect with their husbands or their men to free them up to walk in their purpose. They're doing it in essentially to replace the fact that there isn't a man there, or to prove to them and to the world they don't need a man.
And then take the man and try to fit him into that schism, that square. He's a circle, and you're trying to put him in a square.
Right. And according to Jakes, I mean, even physically, anatomically,
interesting.
You're not supposed to try to make him fit. He's supposed to fit. You know what I'm saying? It's just a regular kind of thing. And the again, this is the word, order. The order is off.
But if the order don't match the feelings, we tend to go with feelings.
We tend to go with feelings. Let me get my phone.
We kind of programmed that way, I think.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Part of the problem today is single-parent household in which the head of the family is a woman. Boys grow up seeing that motto before them.
And men, you're not off the hook. If she's freeing you up to go and do something, you got to go and do the purpose that you're called to do.
It's important for men to walk in purpose. It's important for us, particularly, I would say, as African Americans, to adopt the village raising the child. In the case that there isn't a man in the household, you know what I'm saying? a child needs to see men functioning as men.
Mm-hmm.
The child also needs to see women functioning as women. And I think one of the things that Jakes addresses from what you're saying, Superintendent Williams, is that single parent households are nothing new, because it seems that our Lord and Savior was raised in one. We see Joseph present in the life of Jesus up until he's about 12 years old. From the time Jesus is 12 until he's 33, we don't see Joseph.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And yet, and still, Jesus understood, I have to get my understanding of my purpose, my masculinity, servanthood from God, my Father. Even when my biological, which he never had a biological father, or even my earthly father, is not present. And so the idea that there was a single parent raising a son, that doesn't, I think that we're without excuse in this particular context.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean that you're going to replace a man or try to teach that boy that he doesn't need to understand manhood. You got to get it from the greatest father that we all have, our Father God. And the context is, again, in this particular message, that Jesus was able to pour love into the disciples because the Father poured love into him. And our men have to step up to the point and understand our roles so that we can restore order back into our communities and to our families. But then the other part of that is, ladies, there should be a demand, and I think Bishop says this,
Easy,
from
sir.
you.
Easy, sir. Watch yourself now.
Not to try to replace, but to demand that he take his place.
Mm-hmm.
You see, if I were to try to correct Adam and Eve, she stepped out of line when she gave him the fruit. If anything, she should have asked him to give it to her, right? Then it now puts it on him to kind of make the decision. He's at fault because he listened to her. But she's also at fault because, first of all, she ate before she talked to him. And then tried to get him to act and function like her.
Process, present, process.
Yes. Just like she said.
Yeah, yeah.
And a lot of times, and what's happening, and one of the reasons why we're doing this is because in America, we are teaching our young girls. We see the movies, I Can Do Bad, All By Myself. We're teaching our young girls, in a lot of cases, you don't need a man. You are going to be all right without a man, because we don't understand how to respond to manhood. It's a different energy.
Mm-hmm.
Men, our voices are different. It's just different. It's different when I talk to my children than when my wife talks to them. Does it mean that one is better than the other? No, it's different.
Mm-hmm. Different.
And a man has to be able to function in his space. And a lot of what we're dealing with are the after effects of what we didn't do early. And the pendulum has swung to the point where it's like, well, we want to be equal. We want to have equal rights.
Or we say we don't want to be equal, but we conduct ourselves as equal, because it's kind of intrinsic. It becomes that way. It's programmed. I say programming.
Yeah.
We just kind of. So how do we go about reprogramming? It's like a computer. So put a boot disk. You used to have a boot disk,
right?
And if something happens, you put the boot disk that came with it, and you start all over.
Right. Well,
or do a reset.
What will Paul say?
What would he say? He said it right here.
He said, "Be quiet." I ain't doing it.
Paul said, "Be silent." Hold on, it's in the thing.
It's in the text. Have
like
kids.
I said, we're gonna
he
be.
said, "Have kids and be quiet." I didn't say it. That's what Paul said.
James Evans said it too, and he got in trouble. Don't say it, James. Don't
say it. The kitchen and the bedroom,
Don't
Florida.
say
The
it.
kitchen and the bedroom.
Oh man. The messenger gets killed most of the time in these stories.
All of the time. Robert Floyd wants to join you on your video. Now we ain't doing that.
Yeah, bro. Can't do that right now. Can't do that right now. Can't do that, man.
We ain't doing that right now. But y'all quiet tonight. Y'all saying a little something here
Yes,
in
a
this.
little.
Who teaches this anymore? We're in this state because the churches are few who teach this. Society definitely isn't doing it. Don't we have a bit of a struggle? Because, like the great bishop said, this goes against all of the sociological ethos of the culture. That everything in our culture today is
All right.
promoting rights and equality.
So it's some boomers comments, and I didn't even know.
Okay,
I didn't know how to
I'm
put
about
it
to
up.
say we saw it.
All right.
All right.
Watching. Hope y'all know about feminism. Auntie got a lot to say up here. Yeah, Paul. Why are we talking? Taking a man's point of view, especially Paul. Yeah, because we invited you to come and you didn't.
We're taking a man's point of view.
Yeah, that's what your aunt said. We
is it
process and present. We process. Oh yeah, my friend said you present and process. You didn't process. Eve didn't process and present. She just presented.
And then
which was the point that we were making earlier.
I messed up.
What?
Then she realized she messed up after.
Yeah. Right. So that's in the book. Sin came into the world because of the deceitfulness of Satan. To whom?
Paul is very clear. Eve was deceived. Adam was not.
So I'm just saying it now. I see you having a conversation. She having it by herself. But we got a lot of boomers in there.
Okay.
They in there. We work in 3 different situations, so
right.
bear with us.
We're trying to get them.
Yes, we love you.
So how does this work for single people? I'm not married. Who is my head? God is your head.
Ain't he though?
I would say that if you have a pastor, you should be subject to his or her leadership. But obviously, the blessing of being single is that you're supposed to kind of have a singular piety in your relationship with God.
Yeah.
Paul was very clear about that he wished that nobody got married.
Right.
Essentially, of course, that would stop procreation. So that's not the most optimum understanding. But he was singularly focused in understanding his purpose.
Right.
And I think that when you're single, you kind of have some level of autonomy to make sure that you're doing the best thing for you. But you should. I think everybody needs a head. Honestly, even the greatest apostles of the world have somebody to whom they are accountable to, because you can't just. No man is an island, everybody kind of needs somebody. And one of the challenges for us in church is our culture is supposed to be counterculture to the world.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't go back in time. Mike and I are basically the same age, and we kind of were born on the heels of the feminist movement.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in a household where my mother worked, but she also cooked. She also cleaned and took care of a lot of the domestic responsibilities.
Indeed.
My grandmother worked, but also cooked and cleaned and sewed and took care of domestic responsibilities. I was blessed that I had a great grandmother who lived till she was 109 years old. She was retired by the time
she almost got 2 promises.
Right.
Right.
And also, work, cook, clean. They taught us a lot to be able to do some things, be able to wash some clothes, be able to, cook a piece of chicken, cook some breakfast. My wife will tell you when she came home tonight, dinner was pretty much ready. I have no issues doing any domestic things, any things that somebody might consider women's work or whatever. I don't particularly subscribe to those things. But women in the generations, my sister and I were arguing this. She said that the generations that came before us that these women were miserable. And my brother says, no, they were happy. We can't really talk to them because they've gone on to glory. But it seemed to me that we just were, the family was just more complete. We just understood.
I think it was a matter of perspective,
Right.
as most things are. Our wonderful young brother Bashir and I been in a couple of very engaged at the horns conversations about some things, and we were talking about truth, the idea of the word truth and absoluteness. And I said, is anything true? And we resolved about perspective. And because of knowledge, we have groomed and become programmed to a certain perspective now.
Yeah.
I have some friends in other countries who welcome or don't have any disdain for multiple wives.
Nope.
Culturally different. They're in another country. And I know some people that are participating in that.
Mm-hmm.
I really think they love God too. It's they're very sincere about it. But here, not so much.
Nope.
Not a conversation. So it's a matter of perspective, all the way around. Because you don't do something or don't subscribe to it, doesn't mean that it's the bad portion of a thing. I carry a gun. There are people who say, oh, guns are bad. Well, guns don't kill people. People kill people with guns.
Yep.
I obey the laws, right? I try to obey most of them as I can because I don't agree with all of them. We talked about that. But laws are for the people that subscribe to them.
Mm-hmm.
And Jesus was an outlaw. Run it back.
Run it back.
We did that on TNT.
Yeah, if you're not familiar with this guy, I think his name is Jordan Peterson, you should be. I've been listening to him quite a bit, kind of somewhat in preparation for tonight, but just he's very intriguing to me.
Me too.
But he's a social scientist and really talks about science studies. The left has very distinct programming that they try to instill. Somebody talked about it, social media, television, and one of them is this idea of equality, rights.
Television. Put a pin in that. We're gonna come back to it.
Right. And he talked about the fact that it's very interesting that they've done these studies, and in the most egalitarian, equal societies, where the programming is for men and women to be looked at as equal jobs, equal opportunities, even equal outcome. What happens in the most egalitarian societies is that the natural proclivity is that men and women tend to separate into the very basic fundamental roles that we thought that they've had, and that the women become more nurturing and more of the stay-at-home kind of nurturers. Men do more of the things that you would imagine men do in these societies. And his point was the people that did the studies got irritated because they're left-leaning people who are the people who would support like a Billy Porter and the Caitlyn and trying to make everything equal. And the studies frustrated them because their assumption was that as we promote this level of equality, that it will become more homogenized, but it actually becomes more, I'm gonna say the word sanctified, more separate, more different in these countries. And he talked about the fact that, well, feminists today are a little bit of a joke because nobody's over in Saudi Arabia picketing and holding up signs for women that can't even drive and so forth and so on. And when we look at those societies, is there abuse? Absolutely. Are men guilty of abuse? Bishop Jake said it. Is there toxic masculinity? Yeah, there's toxic everything. Mike and I talked about it today. There's toxic water. You can go right out here now and drink too much water and die. Okay. But does that mean that water is inherently wrong? No. There can be bad in every single thing in life.
Everything.
But for the most part, we have a very natural proclivity towards certain things that the West has been trying to usurp. I think it goes back to a very clear anti-godlessness that we've had, because God is the creator of order. And again, order is not about preferential treatment. It's not about value, but it is about order, how things should run. At the end of the day, it simply makes sense for a man to lay concrete over a woman.
How they should run, not always how they can run.
Right. Exactly.
We said that before. Just because you can do something does not always mean you should do it.
No. And we're so busy trying to have rights in this country, and we understand why.
That's connected to them feelings.
Right.
Hear me, watch me, look at me.
Right. Yep. And it has come to the detriment of what we're seeing at play today over and over again.
Trying to man all the chats.
Yep. Paul was a situation disciple. They had a problem with women taking over, so to stop women from talking into church, to take care of that physical problem, man being the head of a woman, he is meant when they say what is meant when they say the two become one. I don't think it said the one would be the head. With some of you, I think it means that like parakeets, they walk side by side. That's very good point. The two become one. Would that not be applicable to Adam and Eve, the twain? That's in Genesis. For this reason, a man shall leave father and mother, and the twain shall become one flesh. Even in the context of Adam and Eve, where they are walking side by side, where they are the twain, we still see an aspect of order.
Yeah, order. And I had this conversation with superintendent before. He just kind of chuckled. We can revisit it now if you like. But because I've said a couple of times to him, the question becomes, in this order of becoming one, judgment is separate. So they are one item, one family, one household.
Mm-hmm.
But they are two individual souls that will stand in judgment individually. That's what Jakes was saying. That's what the Bible was saying. Adam did not have to subject himself to that, but he did. He is wrong. Men, you're not off the hook. This is not a woman bashing thing.
No.
Okay? You didn't have to do it.
No.
God knows I'm guilty.
Yes.
We talked about it maybe a few TNTs ago, being peacemakers and peacekeepers.
Right.
You want to try to keep the peace instead of making it peaceful.
Yep.
Like it's peaceful and it will remain that way absolutely, regardless of how nobody feels about it.
Yep.
Peace.
Yep.
So that I've gotten some scraps about that. But the judgment is separate. Nobody has told me otherwise. What is the oneness? Is one house together, leaving your family house, moving in with your husband. Oneness. You can have one bank account. You can have one car. You know.
Yeah, I mean it's very clear from the word and from the message. If I believe the message lines up real well with the word, that essentially, if when she sinned, that was her issue. He decided to take that on, and according to Jakes, he had the opportunity to say no, and sin would not have entered into the world. It happens when he decided to do what she asked or to listen to her. Their judgments are separate. As a matter of fact, if you go into the garden, God gives, he curses the serpent and then gives them two separate consequences.
But they don't like that.
Yeah, two separate consequences.
It's just the truth.
Yep. Our parents grew up living by those precepts. They generally practiced by most everyone. That is no longer the case. Consequently, the backlash Jakes is getting. How do we change? Go get you a good dose of TNT.
A good dose of TNT. Shoot it right up in you.
Yes.
TNT.
Some people were upset with Jakes because he has a platform, and this is a whole kind of other discussion. Knowing that he has a platform, knowing the society that we live in, that platform was going to be taken into sound bites, and that as a man of God, having all this influence, he should have known that a lot of stuff he was going to say was going to be taken out of context. When he says stuff like that your self-esteem is compromised when you have to ask your wife for lunch money.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds demeaning to some women. When he says, that we're raising women to be men, that's a little bit demeaning. When he talks about the fact that women don't keep trying to pour into us too much.
Right.
You gonna play some of it?
No, that's the same thing.
Those comments, because they were just chopped up and sent into the stratosphere, the metaverse,
right?
And people are like, I can't believe that this man of God would allow himself to essentially say these types of things. And again, I felt like I agreed. First of all, you got to deal with it. This wasn't a Mother's Day message. It was a Father's Day message.
Father's Day. And Pastor Joe kept bringing it back to the men. You didn't have to do it. You did not have to do it.
Yep.
Everybody kind of weighs and places squarely on the shoulders of women the idea of sin and it being solely her fault. No. I called it the Eve syndrome. I talked about this years ago. You are officially released on tonight. If you've never heard me say this, ladies, women, queens, you are released from this right now.
Yep.
It is not the Eve syndrome. What I'm saying is you have a portion. We all have our own measures of it. Mm-hmm. But it is not your sole thing.
That's right.
Eve did it, not you.
Yep.
Make a change. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. No. Anybody that tries to place all of the burden on you, they are wrong, and God damn them.
Yes, the whole context is that Adam was the guy who allowed sin to enter into the world because he was derelict in his duty. He did not function in order. As a matter of fact, let's do this. We don't have any record of God giving Eve the instruction. We have a record of God giving Adam the instruction. Evidently, he disseminated it to Eve because she understood it. She knew what she was talking about.
See?
But the Bible is clear. She got deceived. She got fooled. Ladies, hearts. I know that this is not completely and totally true of every person, but in the context of that, there is a problem with Adam. He was deficient, derelict in his duties because he knew that it was the wrong thing.
And did it anyway.
This is the birth of feminism because he gave in to the weaker vessel because she was the one who was deceived. He was not. Does that mean he's smarter than her? I'm not saying that. But I'm saying, though, he allowed himself to be influenced by somebody who he knew was wrong. And a lot of times, men, and the reason why there is this essentially this strong anti-manness is because we don't like the responsibility that comes along with male energy. Our women buck against it. Our children buck against it. It's bucked against it in the school system. But you got to be uncomfortable being the man in that context because God has given you something to have a level of discernment to understand. Now, this was the instruction. This is how this is supposed to function. And a lot of times it's uncomfortable.
What if they not, if they, you said they be bucking, if they bucking too much, that's like a rodeo.
Yep.
You're going to fall off the jank.
Yep.
That's funny. I just got this image of bucking, like a bucking in a rodeo. Hold on. Let's make sure we get this comments, brother.
Oh, man, look at that. We love y'all.
Jesus lineage. This is Karen Scott. Jesus lineage is listing the Bible. I'm going to go up. Jesus, it's a delay. I don't know what.
That's probably from the Joseph comment, probably.
Probably so.
when he was a little bit absent. I'm assuming.
Yeah, we're getting a little bit behind. You could text and they'll get it right in real time, and I'll say it.
Right.
Let me see right here.
How would we fix this? First, we have to go to every culture and change minds. What is often perceived, not how it is. Only through Christ can this happen or take place. Does a woman want it to change? You know the rule,
out of order,
and make noise to get the attention that they represent most. Well, let's do that, because let's deal with that a little bit, because we are essentially talking about how, I guess, the spirit of feminism was born. But the feminist movement is relatively new. We have recorded civilization for almost 10,000 years. And pretty much at no point in world's history has life really been more jacked up than it is. Now, I'm not trying to blame the feminist movement for all of the ills in the world, but I am saying that men have a responsibility to step up to be men. Women have a responsibility to step up to be women, and both of those should be celebrated, whatever the role is. The Bible says a man, particularly a husband, is supposed to function in his wife with knowledge. And part of that knowledge is knowing that she is the weaker vessel. Now, what does that mean? Well, there's an aspect of she's physically probably not as strong as you per se, because none of us can bear kids. But there is a heavy weightedness, and we talked about this with the abortion thing, on the idea that women are the channels through which God allows procreation to come. And that there is something very sacred about women, not all women, obviously, but women bringing children into the world and raising children in the fear and admonition of God, and making sure that the household is run a certain way. And in our circles, and I guess we should listen to some women talk about this. I would say that there was a celebration of how the roles were kind of separated. It wasn't about, equal rights and equality. It was more about an equitable relationship. You have a responsibility to take care of this, to make sure that we're provided for. I have a responsibility to make sure the house is run a particular way, right? That's kind of how it is. And what has happened through the government, through the war on drugs, through the prison industrial complex, men have been there's an attack, and we've been taken out of the home. Some of this is our fault. Some of this is systemic and institutionalized. I mean, you can go all the way back to slavery, when you have the buck who could be sent anywhere, taken away from his wife and kids. But the thing is, we need people, both men and women, fighting for us to come back together as the family, as opposed to this wedge that's kind of driving us apart. And you see this spirit, I would say, that is in the world that is saying, you know what, men, you can be a woman. No, you cannot. And allowing this idea that females should be kind of in charge of almost everything as the kind of new world order. And it's not saying that women can't lead or can't be leaders or can't be preachers or can't be bishops or can't be presidents. It's not the point. The point, though, again, comes back to order. Masculinity should be celebrated. And sometimes masculinity is hard. You have to have a thing where it's like, nah, can't go with that.
Right.
And it means something. Man, I got people calling me. I'll be on a Zoom call in 2 minutes.
You are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you could call on this phone. Tell them that you're busy. Tell them get in the
TNT.
in TNT.
I'm gonna have to call you back.
You gotta wrap it up soon. Anyway, we over an hour.
Oh,
it don't seem like it though.
Okay, we good.
Listen, so this is to what you were just saying. Help the women to quiet themselves, because even in the animal kingdom, the chemicals that man has put into the system are turning men
have to come back to you,
or changing men to lose their masculinity. So there's a guy, Tyrone Hayes. He's a bionuclear person that does work with chemicals. He's a black guy, hired by these big companies, Monsanto and others, to do some research. The chemical is called atrazine. I talked about this before.
Right.
Atrazine is the largest selling insecticide,
I'm happy.
pesticide in the world.
Right.
Atrazine. Look it up. Look it up. And atrazine is sprayed on all of our foods, potatoes, soybeans, everything, trying to keep the pest away. Well, he was doing research on this. He discovered a few things, and they tried to buy the research from him to quiet it down. Like, okay, give me that. We'll buy it from you. Don't release it. He said, no, the people need to know this. So he's been kind of on the run for his life, right? He did a TED Talks. He did a few other things, and then they would not hire him again. So that was part of the issue. Well, it turns out that he used African clawed frogs, which have a few DNA similarities to humans, a few cell similarities. When he used atrazine on them, over time, the males began to develop estrogen elements in their chemical makeup.
Wow.
And started to be able to produce they had reproductive organs as females, and even the males began to associate physically and sexually with other males.
Wow.
He did the research. This research has been going on 20 years. Know nothing about it. It's been put on, been being used for about that long. And this generation is the result of that chemically.
Wow.
His position is saying that there is an influx of this because of atrazine. It is not the sole reason, but it is a principal reason. You can look it all up, atrazine.
Wow.
And the guy's name is Tyrone Hayes.
Wow. Wow.
In the talk of feminism, I think is a viable point to introduce that, as well as with transgenderism, the alphabet gang. Atrazine needs to be a part of the conversation.
Wow.
And we kind of disregard things like chemtrails and things that are dropping on us from the sky. But this research is researchable. This data is researchable, viable to the conversation.
Wow.
And these
Amazing.
frogs, the males, when we turn more to females and the females turn more to males, it literally over time changed their chemical makeup so that they were opposite.
Wow.
And this has been knowingly, this is the deception, the malevolent, the maliciousness, that the lasciviousness that is intentionally been put on our food, intentionally. So go and look that up, atrazine. That's kind of a big deal. All right. I want to say one other thing, and Joe got to be on his call. Look, we in two different things at the same time. We talked about words, the power of them. Joe mentioned television. We always talk about etymology on TNT. Etymology being the meanings of words, how they originated. I'll read the actual definition of it. Etymology is literally the study of the origin of words and the way in which their meanings have changed throughout history. All right, etymology. So television is one of the ways that we're programmed. Television
That's a big part of
programming.
television, music.
Now let's look at the etymology of the word television. Tell,
Lie.
yeah, tell a vision. It's a vision, someone else's vision that they're telling you. They're going to tell you. They're going to show you and pour it into you, into your receptors, your eyes and your ears. So you're receiving that information. And they're going to tell you a vision. They're going to show you a vision. It's not really there. Come on, y'all got to see that whole thing. The thing that you are watching is a program. Good God.
Program.
You have to get that these words mean something. The English language is specifically built on casting spells and deception. I'm always talking about, we use too many words. We saying way too much. We're talking too much. We have to find another way of communicating. It has nothing to do with communicating. We should communicate,
Mm-hmm.
but not in this way, in this manner,
Mm.
because we're doing more damage. The things you watch the program on is a what? A channel. This is what we do. We channel energy. Huh? When you use a Ouija board, it's the same thing. You're channeling
Yeah.
energy. And people say, oh, we don't do that. That's not real. But listen, we wrestle not against flesh and blood. Talk good, preacher.
You own it.
Principalities or what? We need to make sure that we are aware of certain things. You don't have to participate in everything. Be aware and don't denounce things before you have a full grasp or better understanding of something. Television programming on a channel, through a channel that you're taking into your channels, right? And it's tuned into a frequency.
Yep.
Which lowers your vibration. So I need you to do it. What is it run by? The government. Govern, control. We talked about this. Ment, M-E-N-T, mental. That's the short form. Mental, which is mind. To control your mind. Very simple. It's very simple.
Yep.
Very simple. So I'm charging you to say more, talk less, and say more. All right?
Preach often. When necessary, use words.
Preach often. When necessary. That means your life should exemplify your ministry.
Exactly.
All right. I'm done, brother. That was kind of all good for me.
It was great.
Television.
Do we
watch
have any,
what you're saying. Watch what you're saying. Watch what you're putting out in the atmosphere. Watch what you're taking in. Nope.
Okay. That what did you say that stuff was called? Astrazine?
Atrazine. A-T-R-A. I'll put it in the chat in both of them. A-T-R, atrazine. There it is. Atrazine. The guy's name is Tyrone Hayes. He's like a molecular biologist, something nuclear. Black guy. He does TED Talks. You can look at his TED Talk. He talks all about it in detail. He said, after this, basically, I won't be able to do no more. If you find me, I talk to anybody who's willing to listen, but the people are trying to kill him.
I'm kind of blown away by the whole.
Yeah, let me get the door.
Yeah, the atrazine, the comments, and again, like Mike was saying, the programming, even in the food and the things that are being sold into our bodies, our systems, it's just too much. You know what I mean? And I think it goes back to what we're talking about. Again, I want to be very clear that the context of the scripture, I believe, from the Apostle Paul and what Bishop T.D. Jakes was saying was not that women are inferior and that because Eve sinned that women should be quiet and not say anything. I think that the context here was that as men, we have to be able to have broad enough shoulders to be the priests, the kings of our homes, and understand that God is going to hold us responsible, because even if the order is broken, we're still responsible for maintaining the order as it is. He's not going to, if you're a man in the world, if you're a man in your home, he's not going to hold you unaccountable because you decide not to say anything because you wanted your wife not to get on your nerves. He's not going to say, okay, that's cool. He's still going to hold you responsible for the governance of how your house goes. And how do we know this? Because we look at it as absolutely what happened with Adam and Eve. That she's not even the one who is credited with introducing sin into the world. He is, because he was the one who knew what he was doing and was wrong. And so I think that when we're looking at again, provocatively, the birth of feminism, it comes, part of it, I would say half of it at least, is at the feet of men. We're not being strong enough to bear the responsibilities that we should, and as a consequence, women are kind of taking some things and running with it, and in some cases doing a fantastic job, but in some cases they weren't designed, as Jake says, to pour in. Women are designed to be poured into and to take what we give them to multiply to make it better.
Vagina, penis.
Anatomically, sexually, it's very simple. First natural, then spiritual.
We might get canceled for me saying that.
I hope not. Who is this?
Shouldn't. All right.
Getting calls already.
Man, it's rough, ain't it, man?
Getting calls already.
It's rough, man. All the way. Yeah. You in here and calling. God. All right. I guess it's time, man. It's 8:25. Thank you all for being present. We love you. We appreciate you. Pastor had to get off of his Facebook. We probably should have put on next time. We'll put on one of these. Jumps.
Yeah, I tried to send him the link. I sent it to a couple people that reached out to me.
I gotta get that screen on the iPad fixed. Then we can have that.
Oh yeah, I like that little setup.
That was pretty good, right?
Yep.
3 different platforms. We're gonna try to work it out so we can go on Instagram Live. Maybe do a lunch jank for Instagram Live. What you think? Tomorrow we can talk about it.
Let's do it.
We're gonna do a little thing. Let's do it, Pastor. I guess for the next couple of days, we'll see if people like it on Instagram.
Cool.
Maybe I'll do it on mine since I got the most followers, and then put the other one.
Don't
that. Hold on. Look, this is what I'm saying. But they've been banning me. Listen, shadow banning is a real thing. Pastor can tell you. Shadow banning is a real thing.
Is that the great Slater?
It is. Ladies and gentlemen.
Breakthrough, breaking records all over Hampton Road.
That guy. Slater can ball too. Did you know that, Reverend?
Can who?
Listen, Slater. He got a mean shot. Now.
Really? Let's get on the court.
Slater, tell the truth, Slater. You know you got a mean shot. When they say that, you know when they say that they got a whole thing, brother.
Man, congratulations on the single, though, bro.
I love you, man. Yeah, come show the people.
Man. We know real famous people.
Look, this is a famous guy. This is Slater Joel. Y'all say hey to Slater.
What's up, man? Y'all doing all right?
One of Hampton Road's greatest.
Got all my 10,000 people looking at me.
Oh, wow. That's what's up.
Slater
Go buy the single. Breakthrough is out right now.
Right
my brother
now.
Mike E.
Take
Mike Etheridge.
The wedge out when you leave, bro. All right, yes, sir. We got celebrities and everything coming through.
Man, I'm sitting beside one every Tuesday at 7 o'clock.
That wasn't the point. This guy right here. See how that works? Look. Oh, tell him about banning though. Did you see that?
Yeah. He gets shadow banned. It's funny to me because like he'll make a post and he'll be like, bro, I got like 9,000 views in 14 minutes. And then he'll make a post and be like, man, I'm gonna check on Thursday. It's 4 people that got
4, man.
Depending on the content.
You talk about Jesus, ban. You talk about
the earth being flat,
banned. Abortion, no.
Man.
If I had some girls twerking though, it'd get a lot.
Oh, kill it, man! Shoot, you more famous than you are. That's what we're gonna have next week on TNT.
Right there,
right.
Not really. A screen, maybe a screen.
We're joking.
We're joking, man. Lord,
we're joking
for the saints and the ain'ts.
We're joking. I promise it's a joke. Let me pray.
We're gonna make a post. Maybe we'll make one tonight. We're gonna go and do some quick bullets about things not in the Bible. This is what we were discussing earlier. So we stay connected throughout.
The list is long.
Follow Pastor Joe on Instagram, Joe D. Williams. Joe D as in D. Lawrence, as in Delta, WMS.
That's me.
Right?
On IG.
And I'm Michael Lamel, or Mike Time, MICTIME, Mike Time for microphone, Mike Time and Mike Lamel. Yes, get up there, say what you want to say, right? Tweet somebody, text somebody, tell everybody that it's going down. Mike Time is alive, and TNT is booming, and it's popping, and it's explosive right now. All right?
Now.
Yep.
We're looking forward to next week, man. We love y'all.
We do. We appreciate it. Listen, share this with everybody you know. It got a little warm in here tonight.
That's right.
But we like it like that, and bring it back. We like the smoke. All right? Tell everybody. It doesn't end here. We're going to boom out. I see you, Karen, right there. People are booming. Yes. Let me see you. We booming it right there. Somebody up here said TNT. Great job, Kings. I can't see who that is, but that's awesome. Who's that?
Oh yeah, that's my little brother Tim. He actually
Tim?
migrated from Facebook.
Oh, he went. Yeah, he went over.
Appreciate
Awesome.
that. Thank you, sir.
Love you for it, brother. All right, we appreciate everybody that's up here. Sister Pam, we see you right there.
Pam.
Karen, Pam, everybody, our regulars, they know what to do. We booming out. If you're new to the platform, make sure you boom out. Like, share, subscribe. Hey, cuzzo, right there. My cousin Yawanda, we love you. Yes, everybody. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Reese, I see you. Tell everybody you know. And do this. Go back. You on Shucking and Jiving. I put the link up there. Scroll up just a couple. It says a YouTube link. That is the channel for TNT. That's where all of these are. We got plenty of them. Go back to the first one. And it's originally started, like what I'm saying we're going to do on Instagram.
Yep.
It started with saying what is not in the Bible. We just started addressing it. And some people liked it, some people didn't. But so what? Exceeding abundantly. It's not exceedingly, not in there. Exceeding abundantly. But I text him like 4-5 things a day. Like, yeah, it ain't in there. It's not in there. Hey, Ramon. Oh, Ramon, I love you. Love you. Love you. See you right there. Thank you for coming in. Yes. I was thinking today about your mom. All right. Appreciate you. A childhood friend of mine. House of Prayer childhood friend.
All right. Them bands.
House of Prayer. I know somebody in every kind of little denomination and everything, brother.
Yep.
All right. We love you. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. All right. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. We seek shelter in God from Satan, the rejected one. We need to learn another language so we get rid of English much as we can because of how it was developed specifically. Even a spelling bee to cast spells. You want to learn it early so you can put these letters together to spell them.
Mm-hmm.
See how that works?
Yeah.
We even say good morning, which initially started as MOURNING, to mourn. But we say good morning so that you can be okay with it in your trials and everything that comes against you. Everything we throw at you, you're going to take it and be good with it. No, I don't want it.
Send it back.
Yeah. So don't be mad if someone says grand rising. That's what it is.
Grand
you say
rising.
good rising, grand rising. Yeah, we get caught up in the wrong things.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning is actually like, that's suspect when you know where it came from. Etymology. Start learning. Keep learning. Never too old to learn, all right?
Never.
And get up out of here. Go and rest
TNT.
my voice. We love you. Everybody boom it out. Boom.
See y'all
all right,
next
we're going to see
Tuesday.
you. All right. Hey, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, my show is at the oceanfront. I forgot
really?
to tell the
Okay.
people.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
26 in Atlantic, 8:30 and 9:30. 26 in Atlantic, 8:30 and 9:30. 2 shows free to the public on Atlantic and 26 in Virginia Beach at the oceanfront. I'm doing the show. I'm singing. It's acting. Peace. It's called 1619.
Doing what he do, man.
Peace. Oh, man.
Love y'all.
That